Today we have some incredible issues going on. Totally incredible issues. By the way, it's July the 6th, 2025, Sunday it is. And right here in Slovenia, we had two types of it's not a confusing stuff, everything is going to become clear to you, but two types of extremely polarizing incidents that played out today, again on July the 6th, 2025. And I said that we don't have, I don't have any of this stuff. It's just important to accent my sovereignty in respect to Slovenia. And in this case here, it's also going to be about Croatia. We have two extremes. One extreme is what they refer to as the leftists, and it's not really leftists. Demanding a referendum on Slovenian NATO membership. This is the stuff I did already published on the blogger today. I did publish the news about a NATO referendum on NATO membership Slovenia decided about. And I also pointed out here exactly why they're doing this stuff. And that's why I also stated that this incident that took place today in Slovenia have absolutely nothing to do with whether Slovenia wants to stay inside of the NATO. Slovenia wants to stay inside of the NATO. That's why I stated this is not the issue of the so-called leftists in Slovenia. It's entire Slovenian population that is contaminated with this kind of attitude. And you already know exactly what that means. This has nothing to do with the Slavic, except that I provided for you, this is just a screenshot I provided for you. You can see it on the blog. You can see the blog is right here. It's got nothing to do with the Slavic issues or whatever. It's got to do with something completely different. And it's the reason why I don't see myself in Slovenia. Slovenia started genocide against me when I was less than 1 year of age. Slovenia was hiding behind mask of Serbs, Russians, Soviet Union, Yugoslavia. In 91, Slovenia gained independence and continued the same trail of death against me as one started practically at my birth. So this got, based on what I see here, it's got nothing to do with the Slavic, with the Russian, with the, it's just got to do with a thirst for theft, for robbery, lies, stealing, killing. The only identity I can view myself through when it comes to Slovenia is this is the only connection between me and Slovenia. The only connection is I was born here, and that's all there is. The only connection between me and Slovenia is a Slovenian genocide against me. There's no other connection here. So, hell, am I using we? We doesn't exist here. We have this, we, the people of the world, we have this kind of incident today in Slovenia. Therefore, again, for me to remind that Slovenia wanted to exit the NATO membership. And right here you can see two politicians. One politician's name is JANŠA. He is sitting right there with Robert GOLOB. Robert GOLOB, his apprentice is practically Putin. This is a Putin that you see right there sitting. It's a Milan Kučan that you see right there sitting. Borut Pahor, you see right there Borut Pahor. Tanja Fajon, etc., etc. They refer to them as so-called leftists. And they don't even want to refer to themselves as leftists because they hope they will attract more people if they pose as non-leftists and attract suspicion about who they are, because they hope the world already have forgotten about who these people are, where they are coming from, and what their legacy is. On the other side, right there, you see the JANEZ, JANŠA, you can see right there. Let me Google that for you, that name. I did spoke about this stuff already before. We're gonna do it like this. This is the politician that you see right there. Right there, that you see right there, like this. And you can see that he was at a concert today. This guy was at the concert today, and that's supposed to be a patriotic concert. Some people refer to one as a USTASHA concert. USTASHA is a very bad word for Croatian status, because it depicts Croatia as a neo-Nazi state even today in 2025. Croatia did have neo-Nazi ties in exactly the same way as to what Finland had Nazi ties to Germany during the World War II. Finland was in war, was invaded by the Russians. Understandable, since nobody supported them. Just if you ask me, Finland was sold during the World War II by Americans and by the British to the Germans. They had no choice other than connect themselves with Germany to practically survive, or go under the knife in exactly the same way as to how or what Lithuanians, Estonians, Latvians, later on even Polacks, ended as Europe became completely split. So it was exactly identical situation with Croatia, populated by the Serbs, who just as in the recent war that was rampaged in 90s, would love nothing more than basically exterminate Croats and make the greatest Serbian Chetnik state. The same as Serbs did in Kosovo, at least they tried, and the same the Serbs did in Bosnia and succeeded greatly. The same as the Serbs tried to did in Slovenia, and they still try to do. There's newspapers actually out there that even dare to doubt about this stuff, like I don't fucking exist. And that's exactly why, when I stated earlier, us, we, there is no such thing. No, there is no such thing. There is absolutely no such thing. Why should it be such thing? Here you can see documents from JANEZ JANŠA right there. That's his ID from the UDBA, from the KGB. Why would you go on a concert of simply of somebody that I'm not going to say is a burden to a Croatian state, because Thompson is a really great artist, but there was enormously a lot of arrests made in Croatia. About 130 people, I understand, Croatian police detained, wearing USTASHA clothing. You know, like dressing themselves like a neo-Nazis, basically. But the thing about it is that when you don't want to do the right things, you understand? When you don't want to do the right things, it's not those guys that are guilty that wear the USTASHA uniforms. I'm trying not to defend them. But when you're not doing the right things in this world, when you're doing absolutely everything but whatever you're supposed to do, that's when people start to dress funny. That's when people start to do crazy stuff. And I think Croatia, frankly, is in exactly the same situation, same lost situation as it is in Slovenia. The same thing. And it's thanks to the people like JANEZ, JANŠA. It's a really simple thing. As a statesman, it's not expected of you to go to the concerts of Thompson to depict your patriotism under completely insane, lunatical circumstances to which I personally witnessed to. And with me, whoever understands what's going on here, everybody. There was a newspapers here that report about JANEZ, JANŠA, newspapers report about JANEZ, JANŠA, how JANŠA went on to a concert that is just a disgrace for Slovenia, as USTASHAs even occupied parts of Slovenia during the World War II, imprisoned priests in Slovenia. This is the ex-communist newspaper. Its name is Delo. This is a newspaper from Milan Kučan. Supposedly, JANEZ, JANŠA angered the leftists. On this concert, there was 500,000 people, is what they report. 123 individuals were detained. There was 245 police intervention. Croatian Ministry of Interior reports. And the best about the concert of the Thompson, not about the concert of the Thompson, but also concert of the Thompson, you can read somewhere where this newspaper, for instance, reminds of the Croatian version of Delo newspaper. In Croatia, they have, it's called Index, where it's written that the Croatian war ended 30 years ago. However, the people of today and the state are burdened with the numerous problems connected not connected with the war from 30 years ago. Let me translate this, make sense out of this stuff again. According to the Croatian newspaper Index, the war in Croatia ended 30 years ago, and the people today tremendously suffer, just as the Croatian state tremendously suffer, with numerous problems which have no connection to the war, to the Serbian war on Croatia from 30 years ago. They don't mention Serbian war on Croatia, but it was a Serbian war not only on Croatia, but it was a Serbian war on several other countries, states, at the same time, simultaneously. And so, supporters of the Thompson behaved on this hippodrome in such a way as if the war still is lasting. So, based on this statement here, I get the solution, what we have witnessed today through the visit of this concert by JANEZ. I think that's a communist newspaper, this newspaper, Delo, ex-communist newspaper. Maybe they believe they are growing in the eyes of the Chinese Communist Party, but I can assure a Chinese that this had nothing to do with the communism. This is a movement of the Serbs in Slovenia, which are trying to re-establish ethnic cleansing, which was during the so-called Yugoslavia completely legal, completely legalized. That's all there is to it. It's got with the communism as much as penguins have to do with, I don't know, with Miami Beach or something like that, with some beach, exotic place or something like that. Penguins from the North Pole, let's say, or whatever. Or I have to do with the last year's snow, let's say. Nothing really. So the answer that you may want to search for to understand what's happening is right there. It states clearly. The Croatian paper, the Croatian version of the Delo, of the Slovenian Delo newspaper stated, the war ended 30 years ago. Croatian people, just as a Croatian state, are burdened with numerous problems which are not connected with the war from 30 years ago, as to what Thompson is a singer. Thompson is a supporter, behaved, and continue to behave. So these are the people, obviously, that continue to not believe in Croatian sovereignty. They believe that war, the turmoil inside of the Croatian state goes on. And in all this, you cannot see me anywhere. But that's exactly why you can see me. Because you cannot see me absolutely anywhere. You see, I am the one who claims, not who claims, but depicts. And I've depicted and demonstrated the violence which the newspaper that you see right there, Delo. That's why I would say to the Chinese Communist Party, do not associate with these people, because these people are just really not communists. These people are just using the issue of the communism to ethnically cleanse, to kill. As you already know. It's not even in news. So, if I don't exist anywhere, but the concert in Croatia exists, then that's something terrible, terrible wrong when a Slovenian politician, the so-called rightist politician, appears right here at this show. You can see him right there, next to the wife of Mr. Hvalica right there. You can see it. You see it right there on the right side. You can see him, right? That's JANŠA. Appears on this concert, which truly Thompson have done absolutely nothing about to distance itself from the USTASHA movement. You understand me what I'm saying? Thompson never was in a situation I was. He never was in a situation I was. And if you have to, as a Slovenian politician, to go on the concert like this, let me demonstrate. Let me get you some shirts from the USTASHA today. I am not saying that Thompson is a USTASHA. I don't believe that Thompson is a USTASHA. I believe that Thompson is confused. He is confused as fuck. He's confused as there you go. That's, let's say, USTASHA uniform. Uniform. I mean, it's a T-shirt with the sign that Nazi-aligned Croats have used during the World War II, just as the Finnish people have used in Finland during the World War II, or whoever aligned itself against the Russia or Russian occupation. I should say Soviet in a parenthesis occupation. The occupation today that continues to occupy pretty much a good portion of the Asia, with Chechnya, and you can see what's happening in Ukraine, etc., etc., etc. So all the fuck I'm saying is that the people that you see right there, the guys like this with this kind of outing like this, that dress themselves like that, they either deliberately portray Croatian state for what is not, therefore infiltration, or they are simply, how can I say, nuts, crazy, garbage culture, like a garbage culture, like a trash culture. You go and you do some trash, just something that you do some shit, basically. Yeah, the thing is that no real patriotism ever grew out of trashing your own country and doing the stuff that you're not supposed to do, for which you know it's bad. And worst part about it is, you think you have accomplished something by going out there, getting drunk, dressed up as provocateur, basically, creating problems within the society, destroying image about a country. You understand me what I'm saying? Right there you can see JANEZ, JANŠA, right there you can see him. And a little earlier I demonstrated you the ID from the JANEZ, JANŠA. I demonstrated you this USTASHA ID, UDBA ID. Huh? See this here? This is a Slovenian politician, JANEZ, JANŠA, UDBA, and then you have, all you gotta do is you go here. At least when it comes to JANEZ, JANŠA, you can see this stuff. You cannot see anything from Lojze Peterle. Why the fuck you guys don't release the files about the Lojze Peterle? Lojze Peterle was connected to Josip Broz Tito. You know when I'm gonna start to believe you guys? When you start to release the files about Lojze Peterle, when you start to release the files about Dmitry Rupel, who studied abroad. The only people that studied abroad in Yugoslavia were like ultra UDBA KGB people. You not fucking get out of Yugoslavia to study in Germany, in the United States of America, if you were not an UDBA individual. You understand? You don't. He did. These people have a super powerful connection to the UDBA, to the KGB, every fucking one of them, with the Igor Baucher, etc., etc., etc. I'm not paranoid. This is facts. This is whom Milan Kučan have chosen to lead the Slovenian independence as his opposition, basically. That's why he presented as the opposition. It was an easy job, just as I explained for Milan Kučan. Milan Kučan, instead of being jailed with Borut Pahor, with Robert Golob, who now is a prime minister, with a Tanja Fajon, he is a foreign minister, etc., etc., etc. These people went on. He became a first Slovenian president, Milan Kučan. This guy here that you see, he positioned himself in a role of political prisoner in Slovenia. Today, he is just like those USTASHA boys, the poster boys for something that does not exist in a Croatian state, provocating Slovenian, Croatian, you can say regions, area, atmosphere, in exactly the same way. He is doing a favor to Milan Kučan in exactly the same way as to what he had done upon Slovenian independence against me and against many other people. He was the person because of whom extermination procedure, genocide continued. I have a 93-year-old father, 94 almost year-old father, half dead because of this shit that you see right there. He doesn't have a time to resolve the issues which these people, however, claim exist inside of the Croatian state. Do you see it? You can see it. Let me just translate. Let me take a time and translate this for you, for the foreign observers, so you can clearly understand about the phenomena we have going on. This is very twisted stuff, extremely twisted stuff. So you don't want, but I'll make you fucking understand. Not to international observers, but to the Slovenian side. You will understand even if you don't want. You want to go on a concert, you want to do it as a Slovenian statesman, associate yourself with the USTASHA and do all kinds of stuff, as is written right here in continuation below. Right? Delo did a good job. They describe here what the USTASHAs were doing with the Slovenian people during the World War II. Even the priests, even the Slovenian priests, were brutalized inside of the Jasenovac concentration camp. Did a good job. It's well explained right here. I'll translate this for English. It can be like this. You understand in English exactly what it means. Everything you understand. You go and you do this as a Slovenian statesman. You go on a concert like this. You go on about it. And you do the stuff like this. I admire you because of the guts you have. I mean, you did this in my face. And I don't exist. Do you understand what the fuck I say? You go out there and you do, in the face of the world, you express the support for the USTASHA movement, for the Nazi movement practically, without even solving a case like mine, and you complain that things that went on during Yugoslavia are things that are still happening. As a matter of fact, that the world, which started 30 years ago, did not end practically, that still shit goes on. That's what you did to me. That's what you did to me. That's what you did to me. And I now forgot that no other can do that than the KGB people do it. That's why today they voted on possibility of Slovenian referendum, NATO referendum, exit from the NATO. Just as I demonstrated you right here, this buffoon here that you see, GOLOB, he is hallucinating something about referendum on a NATO as far as Slovenian membership. Doesn't want to be inside of the... And you can see him sitting with the JANŠA, and that's how these people earn money. That's where the money is coming from. Not a bad job to do, man. A lot of money get paid and do horrendous things. It's a pretty good living. Except that I'm not paying for it no more. We have two extremes. One extreme right there, voting for the Slovenian exit out of NATO. I think even China would get inside of the NATO if it could. Russia seriously contemplated on getting inside of the NATO at one point. And we have another extreme, the one that I presented you here with. This is schizophrenia. This is a total shiza. How the fuck you go to support neo-Nazi movement practically in the face of the genocide that you have not resolved in my case? Now you're saying either I am mentally ill and I don't exist, and it's USTASHA, USTASHA, Slovenian partisan of USTASHA, supporter, sympathizer, with numerous Croats who, however, still believe there is war from 30 years ago. This isn't going only on the Slovenian politician, statesman, JANEZ, JANŠA. It also goes to shit on a Croatian state and on a Croatian side. Because zaflakali se z drekom, zaflakali. You did this shit to yourself. I was diagnosed with a paranoid schizophrenia. But you guys are totally fucking insane. One thing is to have a diagnosis, being accused of something. I see this as being accused. So it got nothing to do with a mental illness, obviously. And something completely different is to actually do a paranoid schizophrenia. That is a case of the paranoid schizophrenia, JANEZ, JANŠA. You have a serious problem. And those of you that believe that JANEZ, JANŠA is different from Robert GOLOB, those of you are even more schizophrenic. Those of you are even more schizo. These are two very, very polarized sides, which, however, connect at one point. Today, JANEZ, JANŠA did more damage to... Actually, all the damage Robert GOLOB created to Slovenia, as far as the NATO membership, I did wrote here in the blog on the Slovenian membership. Slovenia did not even pay almost any kind of membership to the NATO. Slovenia should have been thrown out of the NATO already long time ago. Should have been dumped. Should have been kicked out of the NATO already long time ago. You have a beautiful blog right there. Yet, this isn't about NATO membership. This is about negotiating NATO membership fees, just as I explained. And they already did negotiate that stuff with the Mark Rutte. He went back and forth and left and right, and finally Mark Rutte even agreed that they will not give this fees so high, etc. Another country, I think it was Bulgaria, that also had a problem with it. But the Bulgaria, I think it doesn't have any kind of problem today anymore. Even Macedonia is willing to give more and probably gave more. Anybody, whoever is inside of the NATO, nobody wants to You know, Slovenia is just now isolated island in its own Shiza, basically. Right there somewhere on its own. And the only person that came to the rescue to Robert Golob with his proposition, I shouldn't say only Robert Golob, it was also Natasha Pirc-Musar, right? It was a whole pack of this lunatics that got it their way. You're gonna say, but you tell to fuck NATO and so on, etc., etc. Yeah, but that is not you. That's me. I can do that. You cannot, but I can. It's two different things. I can because of what I have written on the blog, Mark Rutte have done. And it wasn't Mark Rutte only. It was also others. Stoltenberg also knew about this stuff. About what they're going to do with my father. And what they're going to do to me and so on. And they negotiated. Use this house. I'm not going to say they jeopardized my life. They did everything possible they could to accommodate Slovenian side to get me killed. But why would you want to go and do this shit in the middle of the war on Ukraine to yourself? If not to assist Russia, if not to assist Russian invasion on Ukraine, if not to cause division within NATO, play down NATO and start to instigate against NATO on... Why would you do that otherwise? I think that Slovenia, actually, NATO would be better off kicking Slovenia out because the member that is nagging about it is the member that shouldn't have the right. Especially if you don't pay your fees. If your fees are so low that you don't pay shit, then I don't understand what's the fuss. Why would I want to keep you inside of NATO? Do you a favor for you to nag and create a negative attitude upon other NATO member states. You like it different? Do it your way. The only ally today, these people, the so-called leftists in Slovenia had, as an ally, as a friend, as a supporter, was this news right here. That's all there was. And the man who provided this news for them was this guy right here. That one right there. That's that. The only fucking guy that came. Remember when I told you these are two totally polarized politicians they're supposed to be? But you can see that they always intersect at the same location. And all this is adding up to the failure of the country, of the failure of the nation, the failure of everything. People stood up 35 years ago. I don't know who stood up for what. If they would stood up, then we wouldn't be in this kind of situation. Finally, the one who allowed this kind of stuff to go on were people. It's not this politician here that you see on as JANŠA that did accomplish all this, but it's actually people who allowed this stuff to go on. They simply allowed for this case to go on. They simply like this kind of, it's not a manipulation, it's not a politic, it's a certain procedure, introduction into society to which we have witnessed 35 years ago, exploded in what is known as Balkan Wars. I don't know who the fuck can go and write that situation has nothing of today had to do with situation from 35 years ago, when earlier I read the news about the Serbia and Kosovo, and I can see here the Serbian government issued a special statement I mean, it's like, it's bizarre. It's a sick statement, really. But they issued the statement. Let me get this. The only autonomy, more autonomy for the Kosovo is for the Kosovo within a Serbian state. And I don't know where is that article right now, but if this is not incitement in the war, if this is not a war instigation, I don't know what the fuck it is. It was written under Vlada Srbije. Okay. I mean, honestly, but who the fuck are you to talk about Kosovo from the Serbian perspective? I mean, seriously. Vlada Srbije, that was 4 days ago. Why the autonomy of Kosovo possible only within the borders of the Serbia? Seriously? Are you fucking serious about this stuff here? Alright, this was released in 2006 and it somehow surfaced up. It probably shouldn't even surface. And this is from the Vlada Srbije, look. Good luck with this, I'm gonna say. These are not states, these are countries. Think about it like this. Many countries recognized one. "101 country out of 193 countries. And you're still pulling out the news from 2006 about some kind of autonomy, etc., etc., etc. It did not fail, but this is another country. Very, very another country. Totally another country. We go back to the subject. Two what appears to be very, very different issues with a very, very, very same political agenda, cleansing agenda, with people that you see behind right there manipulated into into seeing themselves into, like, there is some black flag over there and so on, in certain issues that they shouldn't. Without demanding for the stuff pertaining to me to be resolved for no less than 53 years. Since 91, that's over 35 years, and Croatia and his full independence, it's like 30 years ago. It was just a corruption, organized crime, criminality. I don't understand you guys what the fuck you were complaining about. When you go out there and you have a concert like this and all this stuff you have, what do? Did you go out there to count yourself, to see yourself, da se vidiš na broju ako si još tamo, to count yourself so you can see if you're still there? Or I don't get the purpose of this stuff, because the concert like the one that you see in the background is the stuff, with exception of those USTASHA shirts, etc., etc., you have when you have problems like mine resolved, when everything is more or less normal inside of the country, not when the country is based on the genocide. You know, I am not going to align myself to you. I don't see myself in you in absolutely any way, because I'm a free man. I don't need to see myself in either in a USTASHA or either in a people like this one here that you see this, a lady here that you see here, or the one that I demonstrated, this baboon here that I demonstrated you earlier. There is no need for me to, absolutely no need for me to ever align myself to anybody. So I had Thompson, I had this guy inside of the room. I had this guy inside of the room on whose concert they went, with this guy here, with this Slovenian guy inside of the room. I had him inside of the room, and he started to go into my business in our house, asking about how do I see myself, where do I see myself, trying to recruit me for the Croatia, to favor Croatia, which is nothing wrong with it, but it did go across the border when he started to get into my business as how I should see myself in this world, and whether I'm a patriot, whether I even, I don't know, deserve to be in Slovenia, whether I even deserve to see myself in a Croatian, Slovenian union, etc., 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 started to speculate about, judge me about me. This was his last stages. This is a great artist, don't get me wrong. Every fucking notable song, however, he got through me. That's a disgrace. All the songs for the Thompson were written by the Germans. Literally from the German song collection, from the German government, Bundestag. That's how talented this guy is. And I'm not saying he's not talented, because I think he is exceptionally talented. But it's a big fucking difference when you're in my situation and when you have a big patrons behind you giving their best. Basically, you get the best out of this world placed behind you so that you do your stuff and so that people can see themselves in you, etc., etc. Thompson is not up to me to my knees. He will never ever be. He can hallucinate about whatever he wants to hallucinate. But this man will never grow up to my knees. Just because you're successful at something, and I'm not God, but that doesn't mean that you have ability to grab God for the balls. He is successful, he's hardworking, and he's talented, etc., etc., etc. He is. But deep under the skin, if you ask me, is just another manipulator, another influencer out there to get his share of this world, and will not recognize. It's exactly because of this kind of people, this stuff never stopped. It will not recognize beyond himself, if it's not going in his pocket, absolutely anything in this world. For the people like this, I don't really give a three fuck about. Croatia is going to be a country when it's going to stand up with the things that are right, correct, righteous, and by saying this, I don't mean playing cuckold for the Serbia. No, I support the things, the Croatian things, the Croatian people, Croatian stuff, but striving somewhere backwards to, this is about 30 years ago war. It's about the war from 80 years ago, about the World War II, and congregating in somebody's room in another country and doing this kind of stuff, and this concert, all this stuff, the way I see it, This is identical to this one here. This is an Olympiada of the schizophrenia. That's all there is to it. That article I have written about the NATO, Slovenian membership inside of the NATO, is so fucking good that I also decided I'm going to record this video just so that I can have the proof when I publish this, because they are now on the next stage. They're going to start to negotiate about the NATO membership costs, because they don't want to pay so much and so on and so forth. This isn't about the Slavic issues either. It's about completely other shit. Just as I was accused to be a German during MK Ultra, I was accused to be old, whatever the fuck you want. Everything I was except human I was not. I was accused, but really? Slovenia, Croatia, I have a serious problem. About the same kind of problem, and maybe even worse than what Poland had before the Russian invasion on Ukraine. And not in 2022, but 2014. And today, in 2005, Poland still have the problem. They really have a problem. I didn't have any kind of problem, but there's people that really have a fucking problem. You talk in the middle of the invasion, Russian invasion on Ukraine, about the Stepan Bandera, you know you have a fucking problem. I never was a neo-Nazi. I never had anything to do with Germany. Beyond frustration, beyond the stuff that was done to me, there is actually nobody in my family that had anything to do with the Nazi movement. Exactly the opposite. Both sides of my family sided with the partisans. They were heavily involved in it. Proudly say so. Every member of both of my families was enrolled inside of the Communist Party. They were decorated after the World War II. And that's not the point, because this is not what I'm trying to head to. The point is, there were sides that did have the problems. They still have the problems. These problems are becoming even more aggravated. Polacks did sided with Russia. They did sided with Russia. And they still side with Russia. There is still stuff that goes on in favor of Russia from the Polish politics. Yes, they did give support for the Ukrainian military. They supported one. And they did express certain support. Yeah, but there is still that kind of element that should not be absolutely anywhere. And, you know, if you ask me, 3 years ago, Polish soldiers should have been inside of Ukraine. Polacks maybe want to form some kind of union with the Ukraine after the end of this Russian invasion. Yeah, they will try. They will try to take over the Poland. Absolutely will try to take over the Poland. Oh boy, would the Ukrainian people would be stupid if they would go for that one. I would say exactly contrary if 3 years ago Polish soldiers would be inside of Ukraine as it was their job. If you ask Polak, every Polak is going to tell you, we're coming from the Russia. We originate from the Russia. We are small Russians. They're more fucking crazy than Ukrainians. And Ukrainians used to be known as a Mali Rusini, as a small Russians. Many people don't know this, but if you ask Paul, where do you originate from? We are Russians, they're going to tell you. We are Russians. Ask Duda, ask Andrzej Duda or Morawiecki, etc., etc. There were people that had a serious problems, and they still have the most serious problems. And I really didn't have any kind of problem. I was guilty I was charged, I was blamed for, pointed finger at. That's what this shit was. That's how it went from the practically from my birth. But there are people that really have a fucking problems and nobody even mentioned about those issues. And they still have those kind of problems. And nobody mentioned that issue, and those problems are getting more and more and more aggravated. Less and less, in other words, visible. That's what is aggravated for me. Aggravated is when the problems become under the surface and they no longer are visible because they're so cancerized with the media repeating the lies so many times over and over and over again. Remember just one thing, folks. When your state does not solve the most immediate urgencies, the most immediate urgency. My case was an urgency. No, I don't want Slovenian state to resolve this stuff. I want this to be resolved through United Nations, recognized for what it is. Slovenia is not going to resolve anything here. Slovenia is nothing Slovenia can resolve here. If your country, whatever country is out there, and is running the affairs without resolving, and is having a problem, serious problems, like Croats have in Croatia, they have a problems. They undermine them at work, it's all kinds of problems that goes on. Housing, absolutely everything, they outsource them. It's a bad situation in Croatia. It's not exactly the most colorful. And so is in Slovenia, when so many people are departing abroad to other countries to find jobs and so on. We have an issue, such a big issue. We have a country that is running some kind of a schizophrenia. This is a schizophrenia. What the fuck is this if this is not a schizophrenia? How can you run the country without having the case like this resolved? And even negotiate with a person like myself, talk to the person about like myself, blah blah blah, how it shall be, how it will be, how it should be to be, etc., etc., etc. Come on, you're fucking nuts. You're fucking nuts. That's when you know that your country is with both foot up and not down on the floor. It's not standing up, but it's in a position to be just knocked out of existence. Mrlichi. That's a walking dead, basically. State. Crap. Total crap. You can do whatever the fuck you want to do. You understand? There was 500,000 people there. It could be 6 million. It doesn't matter. You can do whatever the fuck you can do. Whatever the fuck you want to do. Without having the one single case like this one here resolved. The whole thing is a lie. And that's a fact. And you know it. No matter what the fuck you do. Even bigger. Because you try to go past laws, conventions, international treaties in the most horrific way possible. Claiming, obviously, that individual is just mentally ill, while doing practically exactly, I'm not going to say imitating, but creating some kind of awareness about situation. Everyone who wants to be is not aware of, but always knew about. Entire Croatia, every fucking village was involved in this stuff. So just that you know, it was really not necessary for the stuff like that. As far as I'm concerned, or I should say, as far as my case is concerned, it doesn't have much to do with the Slavic. It's got to do with something else. It's got to do a lot with the ethics. Earning your money the honest way. Doing the stuff the honest way. Not a dirty way, disgusting way, from behind. is the kind of state that anybody out there wants to believe in, then you're unique, because I'm not. I don't care about the nation like this. I don't give a three fuck about the people like this and about the nation like this. I told you. I was here before Slovenes were here. When you commit genocide against your native, that's when you, my friends, no longer pertain to that country. If that person no longer recognizes you as nation of his own, then you are out of your luck. Just think about it. He's not out, you're out. You guys don't even understand what it means to be accused of genocide, extermination against your own national, because you have to rationalize why you were doing the stuff like this. And I did rationalize everything for you on my blog. So, I don't have anything else I would add to this stuff. We have two extremes, left and the right in this case. Both extremes, however, doing the same thing. And like I said, I don't know how the people feel about this stuff. It's pretty damn sad. People even have to dress themselves in the black shirts and with a U sign go on a concert and stuff like this. I don't know, does it make them feel good, or is it make them do they do this stuff so they can be articles like this one here? Sorry, this one here, so that it can be articles like this one here? You're not doing favor to anybody doing this kind of stuff. Putin was actually searching for this kind of stuff, and Croatia had enormously a lot of problems with me. Croatia claimed I was the one who was the reason, who was the cause for the Nazism, etc., etc., etc. That's what they claimed. I'm long gone of the picture as far as your Nazism issues. It seems like I was no problem in absolutely any way. And you and our people here in Slovenia have some other issues. This is what this is. This is a dissemination of the hatred. On one side you have one guy doing something obnoxious, on the other side you have another guy doing something obnoxious. Pretty crazy stuff I have seen, but this was definitely worth taking a note and complete the video on it. I personally would not want to be on any of these sites. On either of these two sides, I don't see myself in it. This is truly, truly, truly humiliating. It should be for every normal human being. Degrading for the Croatian state. You're not proving absolutely anything with this. There was this last person involved in this stuff. There was a factor of corruption involved in this stuff. There was British Royal King Charles, who contemplated also on this concert. Oh, this is a long, long, long expected concert, this concert. And yeah, he wanted me to see myself in those black shirts, but this is the thing. He's much more related to those black shirts than I am. I have no reason to see myself in it. Really, really pathetic. Thanks for watching this video, guys. I just wanted to clarify these issues. You don't have to wear black shirts with a U sign on it to do the right thing always. This isn't about me. None of you is gonna... I did it myself. God forbid something like this would repeat again with somebody else, but if it would, just as I stated, you don't have to have any kind of, you know, black shirts to accent your trying to understand this. Is it gonna be one? No? Yeah, there you go. Yeah. I should say sound judgment. Sound judgment. Sound judgment means, I'm not gonna say normal. I don't like the word normal. This is the word from the Žižek is normal. Slavoj Žižek, that's normal. In the world where I'm coming from, this is more about the survival because of the garbage like this. But sound judgment is, it's more tranquil. In peace, the stuff you do, whatever the fuck you do, you should be doing in peace with a sound judgment. Enemy should not be deciding for you. And in this case, they are deciding for you. They are obviously deciding for you. Or at least they are trying to decide for you. If I would be gone off the stage, probably they would be deciding for you, because there's really nobody that would view this stuff from my point of experience. Not perspective, but experience. I have seen all these influencers, politicians, and it's not because I would meet them only, but it's just, you gotta ask yourself, where were you 35 years ago? Or where were you, I don't know, 50 years ago? Or where were you 16 years ago? And you have to compare this with today. Is it any better? Is it worse? Which situation? What do you feel? How things are inside of the country? And then it's how you basically see this is. You gotta watch these political candidates. You have to create yourself independent opinion. Not one based on media stuff, but you have to see how the stuff they do coordinates with their opposition or politicians from other political spectrums, and how this have influence on a whole picture to understand, to see where the whole thing is heading to. And then you get to know and judge, etc. And well, and ask yourself, maybe, do you really need to do that kind of stuff? Maybe this is a question for the Thompson. Maybe it's time to denounce USTASHA. Distance yourself from it. And sail into the waters of, I understand that what Serbs were doing during the Domovinski Rat, war for Croatian homeland, I understand, was worse than Croats. The Croats had singers, songs about slitting throat people, all kinds of stuff that was incredible, extreme. And I know they talk about one side and they don't talk about the other side, but if the global circumstances allow you to use the sound judgment, you know, you don't have to behave in a primitive way to do the right thing in life. The life choices do not demand from you to do, you know, crazy stuff. Crazy stuff starts to happen when the politicians are just not catching up with it, because something is going on. Something wrong goes on, because something is just not happening. That's why. Yeah, I don't see myself in a Croatian state, not now, not ever. There was all kinds of manipulation, all kinds of stuff. Now, Croatia is a corrupt country, is a corrupt state. This is just I would not even want to get into thinking about Croatia, to put it plain and simple. Corruption, criminality, organized crime, doing bad stuff like this to the people, this is just an awful thing to do. Lying and that kind of stuff. Was not the only country that was full of all kinds of promises, that the best about everything, I didn't even want to have to do anything with it. Now, that's another topic. I don't want to get into that one. But even so, I try to help Croatia. I try to make sense out of it because it's good for everybody if the Croatian state exists, including for myself. I told both sides, Croatian, Slovenian, all the sides, including the Serbian, 3 sides. Your state borders end at the gate, at the entrance to our property here in Novo Mesto. That's where your state borders in Novo Mesto end. Whether you're going to be Slovenia, whether you're going to be united with Croatia, or whether you're going to go back to Yugoslavia, that's always the way it's going to be. This is just the way it is. This is what you created. They didn't like that, and so on and so forth, but that's just a fact. That's just a fact. This is just the way it is. Thanks for watching this video. If Slovenia will become independent, maybe Slovenia should join a Russian Federation. Who the fuck knows? Maybe that's where we are heading. I don't know. If it's not going to be NATO, then it's going to be somebody somewhere is going to have to be. Somebody should ask this guy where Slovenia is going to go next. What is the next coming for Slovenia with Nataša Pirc-Musar? He should be capable to answer these questions. Prince Charles wanted me to see myself in this U. And this whole shit is just as bizarre, just as other stuff that I have to report about. Something that makes you truly question the whole thing. They were supported by the European Union, Ursula von der Leyen, Mark Rutte, and so on, politicians. I don't know. I don't know anything about. I don't know. That's why I am asking myself. I no longer am facing that obstacle. The biggest problem that I had resolving this case is I didn't know who wanted me dead more. Actually, first was about the side. Which side was on my side and which one was against me, etc., etc. And the only thing I ended dividing myself. Then I started to think about who wanted to do bad to me next to the Slovenian side. Today I'm fucking asking myself, who wanted me more dead? Was it the Slovenian side or was it the Western side? They had a quite coordinated approach toward my case. A bit shame. This concert in Zagreb, in a Croatian Zagreb, which Slovenian JANEZ JANŠA attended, and which gave the Slovenian leftists the opportunity to talk about the evil neo-Nazi right, associating themselves with the Croats, etc., etc., and the so-called NATO exit referendum with the so-called leftists, which they prepared one, and for which I already explained to you, this is all a line. This is just to negotiate with European, with the NATO authorities in respect to the fees. They want lower fees. That's what they want. It's identical to the post that I posted right here about Slovenian Aleš Hojs. Lojze Peterle, Janez Janša, Dmitry Rupel, etc., 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 who went on and quietly observed severe torture that was done on my father inside of the home for elderly people. Quietly observed torture I was subjected to. Just so they could, in 2020, upon my return from Poland to Slovenia, and we will discuss about what happened during my stay in Poland, where Slovenian police would go to hijack me and deliver me to Slovenia and other parts of the world for torture, bestiality. They still did everything possible to get me killed. We will talk about what happened before 2022. But in 2020, these people right here, the so-called rightists, Aleš Hojs, Peterle, JANŠA, Rupel, etc., etc., they formed their government. They have entire government in their hands in 2020. It was a government of JANEZ JANŠA. And it's just as they quietly observed me getting tortured, father getting tortured at home for elderly people, me being lynched. Not since 2020, but till 2020. Till 2020. For almost 50 years. They have seen nothing. The only thing they did is they told me, they started to give me warnings. And if you will go after us and talk about us, our share of crime against you, genocide against you, the only thing we will do is we will step down and we will have replaced our government with the so-called leftist government, and that's exactly what they have done it. And then everything not that we have threatened you, but everything that was promised to me by the so-called leftists will come true. That's how much this shit here, that's exactly how much this shit here is affiliated with the NATO exit. The same tactic, the same people, the same fucking shit. That's why I told you, when it comes to Slovenia, when it comes to these things, it's more coordinated, it's more criminally coordinated, it's more synchronized that you could possibly give this credit for. That's how disgusting this shit is. Janez Janša is Udba. Janez Janša is a KGB hardcore. Yeah, extremely. He's never gonna get through, not with the Peterle, not with nothing. I got these people in memory with Josip Broz Tito when I was child. These people are so fucking out that so many memories about this scum that they can try all they want, they can go, they can whatever they want to do. They're never going to swim out of this one. I had to be dead for these people to walk free from this one. You understand? That's the end of the case for this stuff. That's how much. This is how much. NATO exit, JANŠA visit to Zagreb, all this stuff. Complete bullshit. They accomplish absolutely nothing with it. But he did give the ability to the left, the so-called left, to defend itself with completely insane referendum on the NATO exit. Incredible stuff. Incredible stuff, really incredible. Incredible what JANŠA accomplished for Milan Kucan. Incredible stuff. Incredible what this guy managed to do for Milan Kucan is simply incredible. Yet people seems like they like it. That's the way it works, and they continue to eat shit. They do this kind of stuff. They simply do this kind of stuff because it's convenient for everybody. People in Slovenia don't want to pay. They don't want to pay taxes. Which is, you're going to say that's normal for every country. Yes, it is. It is. Somewhat it is. Except that Slovenia is not a normal country. Really is not. Far from any kind of nation. Far from any kind of nation. I already explained to you. Stuff they did to me, they can do this in Bulgaria. They can do this in Serbia. They could do this in Bosnia and Croatia. They could do this in Macedonia, maybe. They could. They could do this stuff even in Ukraine. They could do this stuff in Poland, in Czech Republic, in Slovakia, etc., etc., etc. In Russia, they could not do this stuff. To the Russians, they could not do this stuff. And they could never do this in a non-Slavic country. If they would try to do something like this, like they did to me in Romania, or in Albania, or in Israel, or let me think of some other country, I don't know, Hungary, or non-Slavic country, people would massacre entire fucking parliament the next day. If they would try to do this stuff like this, just one fucking day if they would try to do it, there's not a single country that would cuckold for the Russians, for the Serbs, the way Slovenia, Croatia, etc., Poland, Czech, Slovakia, etc., did. In my case, not a single fucking country. Any nation knows what a case like mine means for the nation itself. This shit in any other country, in a non-Slavic country, would not even go for one single day. I did not understood what Israelis were telling me when they were talking to me. This could not be possible, etc., etc. This shit was possible because I was born here in Slovenia, and Bill Clinton hated me for my liking even Slovenia. Seeing myself in Slovenia after what Slovenia have done to me. But if this shit was done in any non-Slavic country, there would be nobody left alive inside of the parliament the next fucking day. Because there would be farmers and workers and every individual that would rush to that parliament to finish it off. That's a bottom line. That's why you have a countries and you have a pigeon states. You have a pigeons and you have a countries. Slovenia is a Russian pigeon state. This is a Serbian pigeon state is what Slovenia is. I was always not for the Commonwealth, I was always interested in seeing Poland and Ukraine joining together. I was always interested in a picture like this one here. However, you can see Ukraine over there with the Crimea, with Donetsk, with everything, right? Always I supported this kind of ideology. However, because of what I have witnessed have taken place just recently, in this last 3 years and a half, I was truly left in disbelief. I was truly first in disbelief because I did not know what the tactics, how this and that and so on and so forth, but it's not looking all good for the Ukraine. And I can say that Poland have done absolutely nothing for the Ukraine. I could say that Poland have done close to nothing for the Ukraine, but the only thing that Poland have done for the Ukraine is what I mentioned in the video. This basically is waiting for whatever is left out of the Ukraine, and then simply trying to suck it up, take basically that stuff that I mentioned, that it maintained this anti-Ukrainian Stepan Bandera status throughout the war on Ukraine. This is just knife in the back. Yeah, I always was for this kind of status. I know when I see it, when things are not right, I understand exactly what it means. It's the kind of stuff you do not discuss in moments like this, because it's practically your own country that is on fire. But when you don't feel that these people are your country, when you feel that these are not your people, and when you feel that you need to fuck them, that you need to retaliate against them, then you do the stuff like you did Polacks in this war. That's the way it goes. It could be like this. It should have been like this. Probably war never would even take place. But it's not because of you Polacks. And there is one thing more I'm going to say to you. I was always a German for you. I was always German for you. And you presented yourself as a Russian. Already from your point of view, from where you stand with your position through the genocide that you Polacks committed against me, you encouraged Russians, you empowered the Russians in the thinking that is so easy to fuck the Ukraine that is unbelievable. You are the main cause. You, Mali, Rusini, you Polacks, you are the one who fucked Ukraine. I'll be honest with you. I will be very, very honest with you. As much as I was German, and I don't know what the fuck I was, you blame me to be Nazi, and I don't know everything in this world evil the fuck I was. You made job truly, truly, truly easy for Vladimir Putin. So easy job you made for the Vladimir Putin that for me is impossible not to believe that you work with the Vladimir Putin. You are Mali Rusini, you Polacks, you are the one you fuck. You tremendously, tremendously fuck Ukraine. And when it comes to other countries inside of the Europe, NATO and so on and so forth, what do you think? Who is more affiliated to you? Are the Ukrainian people or are Germans or others you spit on? It's probably Ukrainians, right? So if you don't give a fuck about Ukrainians, and then why should they care about Ukrainians? These are the things, these are these beginning elements that you even dare to maintain throughout the Russian invasion on Ukraine. I used to be for this kind of reunification, unification. And nothing in the world would have been better for the Poland and for the Ukraine. But you know what, Polacks, the way you do the stuff, the way you do business, the way you do things, wow. I am gonna stop here because I could go on and say some other stuff, but as much as I was German, and not as much as I was German, as much as I was German, that's how much Ukraine got fucked. I was not German, but you were a Russian. You were so fucking Russian that is unbelievable how Russian you were.